Hey there, and welcome to the Heal with Grace podcast. I'm your host, Grace Secker, and I'm a holistic licensed therapist and nervous system coach who believes that the chronic and often unseen symptoms you're living with are a sign of something deeper going on, a sign that your nervous system needs attention. In each episode, I'll share the science behind the most common chronic health disorders, plus holistic tips using mental, physical, and spiritual practices. You'll hear what I've learned in my journey and the true stories from our trusted guests so you can feel less alone in your experience and give yourself grace no matter what you're going through. So, without further ado, settle in and get cozy. It's time to heal with grace. If you're living with a symptom that will not quit, the pain, the fatigue, the dizziness, the gut stuff, anxiety, whatever it might be that lives in your body, you are not still struggling just because you haven't done enough. Most of you have done so much. You can probably tell me all the different types of tests and practitioners and doctors and Reddits and Googling it and AI searches that you've gone down, all the different chats you've had with AI. You might be able to even explain, like, okay, I recognize now that there's a nervous system component here. I know that there's a brain body component. You've probably been to therapy. Maybe you started to read some of the books and maybe you started to have some insight. And maybe even you're fully bought in. You're like, yeah, my symptoms are my body. And so that's wonderful and amazing. And it can be frustrating when you know a lot, but nothing's changing. This work is a practice. It is truly a practice for a reason. And I mean, if you've heard this episode or this podcast at all, you've heard my story probably a lot and the amount of years that it's taken for me to get to where I am. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be you. I circled a lot. I went in and out of this a lot for a while. So, you know, take that for what it is. But my point being, is that this is not only an unlearning for your mind and your body. This is a unlearning of the patterns in your brain, literally coded in your brain and in your body that you have had for probably most of your life, or it's built up over your life. And that's unlearning that. And then there's a whole relearning process of different brain patterns and states in your body and nervous system. And it's not just about the pause and the breathing and slowing down and taking, operating a little bit differently, right? If you see some of those videos online that are like, when I POV, I need to work on my nervous system, and the person is like frantically cleaning their sink really fastly or vacuuming really fast or rushing to get in the car, rushing to get clothed or dressed. Yes, that's very important because we operate off of a nervous system that's in a stress response oftentimes. So we do need to learn different ways of literally physically moving within the world and how we operate. But the reason why sometimes this work is a practice and it takes time is not only are you shifting those external patterns, like the way that you behave and you act and you move, but you're also shifting the way that you see yourself and you're shifting how some of the belief patterns that have been encoded within yourself. So that might look like shifting the belief pattern of you're not good enough, the belief pattern that you're not worthy of actually health and happiness, or the fear of being alone. And those are very real and true. And you've adapted to those for a long time for many reasons and based on your experience in life. Yes, the work is contextual, behavioral. It matters how you operate and move and what you do, right? The behaviors matter, but also the emotions and the belief systems that you probably have not allowed yourself to really fully look at and understand. To be honest, they matter a lot more in the long term. We need both, right? We need behaviors, we need thought change, we need emotion change, we need beliefs change. But what I want to talk about today is okay, you're starting to recognize all of this. Now, what do you do with that, right? One thing I want to note here before moving on is that you don't have to understand and go back to the depths of trauma or understand every part of you or experience in your life that led to this point. You really don't. Sometimes it is helpful to understand and work through. Yes, 100%. That is where trauma therapy comes into place. That's where somatic healing and parts work and journal speak. That's all of that is there for that reason. But You do not have to go back into every little experience to actually move forward. Some people believe that if I find the root, if I name the trauma, if I trace it all the way back to where it started, then I'll be free. And the whole model we inherited says that understanding the root and healing follows. But that's not exactly how it works. What I've come to believe after so many years of doing this work is that understanding and healing are two completely different skills. They go together and they work together, but one lives in the mind and one lives in the mind body, right? So understanding something, you can consciously and cognitively understand something, right? You can understand the theory behind it. But actually shifting that theory comes with the practice of getting in tune with what's actually happening in your body and in your mind and learning how to shift out of the states of stress and into the states of rest and digest more often than not. We need stress. Stress is very normal. So going into the stress response, totally normal. It's just that we don't want to live there all the time. The problem that I see a lot is that almost everyone stops at step one, right? I listened to the podcast, I read the books, I understand all these things, I get it, right? And I want to say a quick note about this too, as me learning this as a therapist. And then if any other therapists or practitioners are listening to this, which I know you are, so amazing, good for you. Not only if you're helping yourself, but also obviously your clients. I seriously thought that I was a pretty good therapist, which, okay, I'm not going to like shit on myself here. I think I've always been a pretty good therapist. But before I got to this work, man, there's so much I didn't fully embody and understand. And maybe that's just my journey, right? My journey of getting to where I am. I'm sure plenty of other practitioners get here in some way, shape, or form and in other ways, right? There's not one right way. But my point being is that even if you are not a practitioner and you've been to a bunch of different therapies, you've been to all the healing modalities, maybe you've taken plant medicine, maybe you've gone to so many different healing circles and journeys. I did that too. And I truly believe that everyone has a time and a place to get to this work and make a change. We cannot force our own patterns. We cannot force our way out of the stress and into the recovery. So, insight happens in one part of your brain, regulation happens somewhere else entirely. You can have a brilliant, accurate, life changing realization about why your body is the way it is, and your nervous system can still be sitting there completely unmoved by it because it doesn't speak the languages of insight, it speaks the language of experience. If you have a symptom that's been hanging around for more than about 6 months, your nervous system is involved. And that is true no matter what your scans say, no matter what your labs say, no matter how many specialists have just not really been helpful. Or maybe they're telling you something like you have to keep doing this or you have to keep doing that. There's fear, right? There's a lot of fear in diagnoses. There's a lot of fear when we get certain types of testing back or labels, or we're explained why something in our bodies are happening this way. There's a lot of fear. So, what we do with fear is we try to control, we try to treat, we try to manage, we try to fix. What I'm offering that instead of insight around explaining why something's happening and how it's happening, which again is wonderful and we very much so need that. But the way to make moves is to let go of the fear, let go of the belief systems that are getting you stuck, expand your tolerance for the deep emotions that you've never actually allowed yourself to feel. I am not saying that by doing this, it means your pain or your symptoms are in your head. Not at all, not even close. Your symptoms are 100% real. Your pain is real. Your fatigue is real. The findings or the lack of findings are real too, right? But your nervous system is in the loop, and all of those things are true at the same time. And this is the part that the old medical model never really had room for, that there is both. You can have inflammation in your body. You can have a bulged disc. You can have a low immune system. And your nervous system is very much so 100% involved because it's involved in everything in your body. So you may know why you're dysregulated too. Maybe you have some experience, some trauma in life that's going on, something in work, something in your relationship, something in family and life where you live. And you also might recognize that, okay, I do have this abnormality in my body. So here's what I want to bring about. Insight and information are wonderful. Understanding if you have low levels of minerals in your body and you need to balance them or you want to work on balancing them, wonderful, great. That's super important. I actually very much want you to do that. I posted a reel a little bit ago talking about my mold history. I went down the physical functional route and I detoxed my body. I got some IV support, some ozone support. And at that time, I very much so do, I recognize this, that I got really caught in the physical model. I got caught. I was doing some mind body stuff, but nothing was working. So I was like, damn, maybe it's just truly physical this time. So I went down the physical route. Now I went too far in the other direction. And I did not actually look at my response and my reaction towards what was happening. I was in a hole. I was in a hole of disappointment and disbelief and grief and shame. And I didn't really work with it. And all I was doing was getting treatment after treatment, detox and protocol, which was really exhausting my body. Now, if I were in some sort of situation where if I got tested and I had really high levels again, would I go down that route? Actually, yes, I would. I would go and I would get the certain treatments that actually helped me. Now, the thing that would be different here is that I would know that that's just one part, one piece of the puzzle for myself. And I think this is a very big caveat with a lot of different symptoms. I think it totally depends on what the symptoms are. For me, that was helpful because, again, it was high, like very high levels in my body. Now, did I do those IVs to then get down to no levels of mold in my body? No, that is not a goal for me because everyone has something. So I am not looking for perfect scans. I'm not looking for perfect test results. I'm just looking for a little bit of a decrease to help me balance out the minerals and everything else in my body. While at the same time, that's kind of like a side piece that's going on. While at the same time, the biggest and most important thing I'm doing is looking at my emotional state. I'm being radically honest about how I'm living my life. Am I actually living in alignment with what I want? Am I actually living in alignment with my body's rhythm? Am I pushing myself too hard? Am I expecting myself to be somewhere that I'm not? Am I disappointed, resentful, bitter at something that's going on in life? Those are the biggest things that I'm working on instead of the physical. Not in lieu of, not, letting go of, but it all goes together. And one really big part I want to say here too, and I know I've gotten a little off track from the beginning of this episode, so just bear with me, keep going, is that there is nuance here, y'all. It is not all or nothing. And when we bring all or nothing to this work, all or nothing frame of mind and thinking, it stresses us out even more. So I think there's a time and a place to really double down on some of this work, right? If you're kind of tiptoeing around it, you're in and out, but you're not actually giving it the time and the space that it needs. Yeah, I think that you need to double down and really go all in. But it's not about expecting yourself to make this huge full recovery because you're doubling down and going all in, or it's not about spending all day and time on it. I don't want healing to be your life. It probably is right now because your illness and your pain has been your life. But a big part of this is actually getting out of that space where your pain and your illness and your recovery is your life. We don't want it to be your life. We want to retrain your brain to know that actually we don't need this in order to protect you from whatever is going on in life. So remember that insight, right? Understanding awareness, that's the map. The practice, the regulation, that's the road. And a map, no matter how detailed, no matter how accurate, a map never moved anyone a single inch. You can study the map for years, but you still have to walk the road. And the road could be a few different things all put into one. The reason why I don't talk a lot about the physical side is because obviously I am not an MD. I am not a physical practitioner. I am a therapist and a coach. So I stay in my wheelhouse. I stay to what I know. I stick to what I know. But I think that it is very important to recognize that I'm not sitting here being like, you can literally heal everything by just mind, body, neuroplastic symptom, brain retraining, somatic work, nervous system regulation. I myself have done so many different types of things in my journey that have truly helped me. But it wasn't until I really recognized that actually the neuroplastic symptom or the reason behind all my symptoms was a brain stuck in danger mode and a nervous system that was dysregulated and emotions that were stuck in my body that were never felt. It wasn't until I really honed in on that. And I mean, I understood it, I got it, I started working with it. That's when I started healing the most I've ever healed. Like, I let go of symptoms left and right because I truly was with all of these practices that I share with you all. So, just learning about things is not going to be the thing that helps you. Just doing one protocol, one detox, one physical treatment, that's not going to help you either. And depending on where you are, right? Totally depending on your symptom, your condition, whatever it is, only doing this work, well, actually, that might help you. But I don't want to induce fear or shame if you want to get a bodywork session or work with someone else. Like, just do what feels good. But if you are constantly giving your power over to other practitioners, if you're constantly searching for the next best thing, you are in hypervigilant mode, you're in a stressed out state, and whatever you do in that realm probably won't move the needle very much until you actually work with the underlying root cause, which is your brain and your nervous system. Therapy is amazing. Body work is amazing. Functional medicine is amazing. And it all can help you build trust within yourself. It can build awareness. It can build the co regulation that you might need if you have someone that you really trust. So I am not here to throw any of that away. But on its own, it does not usually move the needle in actually regulating your system to get out of the symptoms that you're in. You're not missing the knowledge. You're not missing the education, most likely. What's missing is a framework for the rewiring of the mind and the body. Something sequenced, repeatable, practiced, teachable. It's a map that you can follow, right? Part of the reason I really loved and grabbed onto this work was because there was structure behind it. There was structure behind retraining the brain and regulating the nervous system, which felt amazing to me. Like, oh, I can grab onto these steps, right? Now, obviously, not everything is perfect and laid out in step one, two, and three. There's nuance and there's a lot of depth to each phase. And there's sometimes sitting in the what the hell do I do today phase, and that's fine. But there really can be a structure in helping you understand, okay, what do I do now? What do I do when I'm in a flare? What do I do when I'm just starting out? Right? I love that as a client, and I really love that as being a therapist and a practitioner. I've always been someone that doesn't follow an exact one, two, three step practice like in therapy with my clients, but giving you a framework actually has really helped. It helps you, right? And it helps me track and help you get the progress that you need. So, if you've been understanding yourself in circles and you're tired of just like constantly searching for the next best thing or trying to understand everything so that you can finally start doing the work, I will tell you there is never going to be a point where you understand it all. You have to just start, you have to jump in and you have to start practicing. So, if you want to learn how to do that, I have a couple options for you. One, there's at the bottom of the show notes and this podcast, I have a free masterclass training and it teaches you a lot of what's actually going on when you have mind body symptoms. It actually walks you through an assessment that I use with each one of my clients to help understand, okay, this condition, this illness, this symptomology, this pain, whatever you're experiencing, is this what we call neuroplastic or not? Is this mind body nervous system related or not? And then when we recognize what is, then we go and we help you. We get out of it. We help you regulate your nervous system and retrain your brain. So my free training walks you through that and tells you what to do next if your symptoms are mind, body, and stress related. And then if that's the case and you want to actually start doing this work, you can join the Mind Body Healing Method. It is the nervous system and brain training program that I have had for years now and that I have put all of my soul and effort into it. It's the program I wish I would have had when I started this work. It has the steps, it has the phases, and it has the community support behind it. So go ahead and find the links below. If you have any questions, please let me know. And last but not least, if you are a practitioner, if you are a coach or a therapist, someone that wants to start implementing this work with the people that you see and that you support, I have a very special training for you coming up and it is launching very soon. And I am looking for a certain amount of people, a small amount of people to go through the first cohort with me. This is something I've been dreaming for a while, and I cannot wait to not only help you help your clients, but this is a special cohort. This is a special training because it is not just about let me teach you the skills and walk you through the slides. No, it is how do you actually apply this to yourself first so that you can expand your tolerance in your nervous system in order to help your clients even more. I truly believe that we have to walk the walk as we talk the talk. I've always held that very close to my heart, and I truly don't trust other practitioners that don't do the same. That might sound a little harsh, but it's true. So I truly believe we have to learn before we can help. And that is a big part of this training. So anyway, again, if you have any questions, let me know, but you can join the waitlist below. And I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Keep healing with grace. If this podcast means something to you, it would mean so much to me if you could do these couple things. 1, go to the Heal with Grace show page wherever you listen and tap the plus sign or click on the follow button so you don't miss an episode. It helps both of us out. While you're there, if you could give a 5-star review so that this podcast can reach more people, it would mean so much to me so I can continue sharing episodes that help you as well as others. Thanks for listening, and I hope this brings you hope on your journey.